Thanks for coming.
Hello, everybody. I am thrilled to moderate today's Superstar Q&A with our sensational touring artist of the year, singer-songwriter Olivia Rodrigo. Round of applause. So before we start, I'm going to quickly brag for you. So her Guts World Tour is one of the biggest pop tours of the decade. She sold out 95 shows in over 60 cities across 20-plus countries. She has had 3 #1 hits on the Hot 100, 2 #1 albums on the Billboard 200, and has won 3 Grammys to date. And all of this has happened in just a few short years. So we obviously have a lot to get into. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So I want to start by talking about the fact that you said you made Guts with the live show in mind. So let us into that process a little bit, and how did the live show impact what we hear on the album?
Yeah, I had a really interesting career trajectory. I put out my first album, Sour, in the middle of lockdown, and it was more successful than I could have ever even imagined. And so all that happened, and I had never even played a show of my own before. So after going on that first Sour tour, I learned so much about touring, and I learned how fun playing these songs like Brutal and Good For You were on stage. And so kind of with that information in my back pocket, I went to make Guts, and I really wanted to make some songs that would be really fun to perform live with like driving bass and fun guitar and songs that you could just scream. So that was very informative for me.
We definitely screamed on this tour. So you're also a Pinterest girl. I know that you made some reference boards using Pinterest for the tour. What do you remember being on those from the start?
Oh yeah, lots of like Blondie outfits and PJ Harvey outfits. I found this image, I think it was from some like Alice in Wonderland shoot or something, where it was like an upskirt of a girl like sitting on a piece of plexiglass, and you could see like her cute little bloomers underneath, and she was like leaning over the plexiglass. And from the moment I saw that picture on Pinterest, I was obsessed with this idea of having a piece of plexiglass on the stage and being able to film up. I just never seen anything like that before in a live show, so got that idea. Lots of, I'm not a big dancer. I'm not like a dance person. I don't know a lot about it, but I was really obsessed with these images of people kind of creating shapes with their bodies. I thought that was really beautiful and artful, and so I tried to kind of incorporate that into the show as well.
One of the things that you knew you wanted early on, which is one of my favorite parts, was the moon. When you fly over the audience on the moon, what inspired that? Why did you know that you wanted to do that?
Yeah, I just wanted to have some aspect of the show where I could really connect with the audience members, even the audience members who were farther in the back or, up a little higher than others. I didn't want to just interact with the pit. And so that was a fun way to kind of get to do it. And it was one of my favorite parts of the show. I would always like wave to girls, and they'd be like, "Oh, me," and I'd be like, "Yeah, you," and they're like, "Oh." So that was so fun. And it's just nice to feel connected to everyone and make everyone feel like they're part of the show.
Yeah, for those of us who have not flown over thousands, what does it feel like up there? Like, do you get nervous? Is it comfortable for you?
You know what? Luckily, I'm not scared of heights. Otherwise, it would have been quite a terrifying show. But yeah, I was thoroughly strapped in, so that was good. Originally, actually, in the mock-ups we had, I was standing on the moon playing guitar, which would have been significantly scarier. So I'm happy that I got to sit. It was really fun. It was one of my favorite parts of the show.
I know another favorite part, one of your favorite songs to perform is All American Bitch.
Yeah.
What makes that moment so special for you in the show?
Yeah, I love that song. It's one of my, I'm quite proud of that song just on a songwriting level. And there's a part of the song where I make the whole audience scream and say, think of something that you hate or something that really ticks you off and just let it all out and scream. And I think that's so powerful. It's very cathartic. It kind of feels like sort of like a rage room or something. There's something so cool about being able to be in a room with thousands of people and to be anonymous and just, let all your emotions out. I just love that aspect of music. And so that was really fun to do every night.
Yes, I have heard many people describe that as cathartic for themselves as well. But I'm curious, with the tour being on a bit of a break, have you found an alternative release instead of screaming with your fans?
I've been listening to a lot of like heavy emo music and stuff like that. I've been cranking that in my headphones. So that's about as close as I'll get to that these days, I guess.
One of my favorite things is your choreographer, Melissa. She said that you created a really trusting environment. So I'm curious, how do you accomplish that from day one of putting a touring team together?
Yeah, I was very lucky to be surrounded with both people who had been in the industry for 25 years and who had been on countless tours and had all this experience, and simultaneously there were so many people who that was their first tour and they had this kind of zest and enthusiasm, and so I think that paired together made a really beautiful, encouraging environment that was very calming in an environment that's very erratic sometimes. So I attribute that to why the tour was so fun for everyone involved.
Yeah, obviously, trust is the foundation of everything. I'm curious, what are the most important elements aside from that about any tour or live show that you put together? What do you need to have?
Just, I guess, songs that you're proud of. That sounds pretty obvious, but if, I feel so proud of so many of my songs, and so getting to perform them every night is really fun for me. I think connecting with the audience and kind of bringing them into your world, and making it sort of interactive was something that I really wanted to achieve with this tour. And it kind of just behind the scenes, just having an environment that is trusting, like you said, and encouraging and safe. I think I always tried to prioritize that.
When you go to see live music, when you're not busy touring the world, are you able to enjoy it yourself as a fan, or is your creative mind sort of always thinking about your own show?
Oh my gosh, no, I love seeing shows these days. I'm like, I can go to a concert and I can scream and not have to worry about like not having a voice the next day, and I can like drink a beer, like, whoa, this is amazing. So I actually enjoy it like 10 times more. Yeah.
I know this is an impossible question, but who is your all-time favorite performer and why, if you had to pick?
Gosh, that's so hard. I mean, Beyonce is first that comes to mind. I don't know. I love Karen O. I think her performances are just so insane and out there and very inspiring. So many people.
Yeah. Karen O, I definitely get that one coming through. Outside of some of like the key visual elements that we've seen, there are a lot of other highlights of this show. So the tour marked the launch of your Fun for Good. Yeah. Why is it so important to engage and activate your fans when they do come through to these shows?
Yeah, I knew that I wanted to give back as part of this tour, and I'm very aware that lots of young girls come to my shows, and women's issues have always been really important to me. So at the beginning of this tour, we started the Fun for Good, which is this global initiative that supports reproductive rights and victims of gender-based violence. And it was really meaningful to me to get to kind of learn more about these organizations and support them, and I'm really excited to do more of it in the future.
Yeah, a round of applause for that. It's phenomenal. As if putting on a stellar show wasn't enough. You really take it the extra mile. I am going to call out something that I think is phenomenal, but I'm curious first, in your own words, what have you seen as the most significant impact of the fund since you launched it?
Yeah, we donated a lot of money to the National Network of Abortion Funds, and it's like 100 or so abortion funds across America, and they work to support both logistically and financially women who are seeking abortions. Maybe, if they live in a state where that's not possible, or if it's not financially feasible for them. And given the time, that was very meaningful.
Absolutely. Yes. Very impressive. So what I wanted to call out that I'm incredibly impressed by is you donated all of the ticket profits from your first concert in the Philippines to a local charity supporting women's health. That was also your best-selling show of the tour. So I'm curious, that hybrid, that like perfect, impact of two events, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, that show personally was just so important. I'm part Filipino, and that was actually the first time that I'd ever been to the Philippines. So just on a personal level, it was very special. I just really wanted to give back to that community who has just given me so much and just so enthusiastically supported me over the course of my whole career. So it's really important for me to do that. And we donated all of those proceeds to Japaigo, which is an organization that supports women in rural Philippines. So yeah, it was a really special experience. I'm very happy that I got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, keep the round of applause coming. Like, everything is just so amazing. More sort of like city-specific highlights is you sold out 4 nights at Madison Square Garden, 6 nights here in LA. For those lucky enough in New York, you brought out Noah Kahan, and in LA we got Chapel Roan. Tell us about the strategy and the thought process for surprise guests throughout this tour.
I mean, I don't know if it was really strategic. I was just like, they're awesome, and those are my friends. I want them to be on stage with me. And so, yeah, it was so fun for both of them. I've heard some pretty loud screams in my life over the years, but announcing that they were going to come on stage with me, just the eruption of just screams and energy was like nothing I've ever heard before in my life. So it was really special. It always makes for a really fun show to bring someone else out.
Absolutely. And even on the nights when there was no special guest, you made each city feel very special with its own curated tank, which I loved. What's the benefit of incorporating something that really spotlights each city each night?
Yeah, it sort of came to be as an accident. I had this vision of having like sparkly shorts and a tank top where you could like see the red bra strap. And so my stylist brought a bunch of cute tank tops, and they all had little graphic tee things on them. And we're trying to find the right graphic, and we're like, I don't know how I feel about having the same one every night. And I was like, why don't I just change it every night? And so we bought this machine where you could screen print tank tops, and we were kind of just like pooling ideas. Like I'd be with all the people on my team, like, well, what should we do for like, I don't know, Nebraska or something? Like, what's something funny we could put on there? And so it became a sort of fun creative outlet in and of itself.
Totally. I imagine, like, especially when you're on tour and, a lot of it's just so rehearsed and you get to work that creative muscle night after night, come up with jokes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was a fashion designer on tour, too. Yeah.
I feel like we got a preview of that tank when you came out with No Doubt, obviously, the ND tank, and it's sort of become part of the whole tour aesthetic now.
Yeah, definitely.
So for those of us in the crowd, when we see that tank come on, unfortunately, it signals the end of the show is near. So when you do hop off stage at the end, what is the first thing you do when your show wraps?
Man, nothing exciting or glamorous. I ice my feet, really sexy. I jump around a lot, and my calves get sore. So yeah, that's what I do. Take a shower, take off my makeup, and head back to the hotel. It's really not that exciting. It's a really interesting shift to go from like being in front of thousands of people to like being alone in your hotel room. It's very funny.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels very quiet.
Yeah.
Your tour promoter, Live Nation, said that the demand alone for these shows indicated you could have packed stadiums for this tour, especially coming from theaters on the last run. How does knowing that make you feel?
Yeah, that was so wild for me to hear, and also to experience. Like in each of the cities that I would go to, sometimes I'd go and grab a coffee and I'd meet someone who's a fan, and they're like, oh, I really tried to get tickets, but I couldn't. And that was just so wild to me. And, I wanted everyone to kind of get the chance to watch the show. And so that's why we did this Netflix film that came out a few weeks ago. So yeah, it's just wild to me. I actually can't wrap my head around that. It's quite crazy.
Yes, like you just said, the Netflix concert special came out not too long ago. Tell us more about the decision and why it was so important to you for fans to be able to experience this at home if they couldn't go in person, or even if they did and they just wanted to relive it.
Yeah, I mean, it was important to me to try to, let people who maybe hadn't seen the show and wanted to see it to kind of get a glimpse into what it looked like. But also, I think it's kind of fun if you even went to the show to get to see it from a new viewpoint. There's so many fun angles, and you can kind of see my perspective of what the show looked like from where I was standing on the stage. So, yeah, it was great, and I had a lot of fun filming it, and I hope people enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler for anyone who has not watched yet, you get to see the chapel moment if you weren't at that show, which was very exciting. What did you learn about yourself as a performer when you watched the special back?
Oh my gosh. I was trying not to be too critical the whole time. I'm just like, just be nice to yourself. It's really weird because I know that show like the back of my hand. I've done it so many times, and yet I'd never gotten to be an audience member and watch it. And so, yeah, watching it, I was like, what? Why are you so nervous? You got it, girl. You got it. But, yeah.
Clearly it was a success by the time you watched it,
Yeah.
We had all bought in. Did anything surprise you from seeing yourself perform for the first time?
Oh, I don't know. I was working out so much on tour, and I watched the thing back, and I was like, yeah, I got muscles in my arms for the first time in my life. That was surprising.
One of the things I love that you said in our Billboard cover story is that it could be cool to show your future kids what their mom was able to do at 21.
Aww.
Yeah, it's very sweet. When you think about your legacy, if you ever sit there and think about that, what exactly comes to mind for you?
Yeah, wow. Deep question. I don't know. I hope I can just bring joy and connection to people. If I can write a song that inspires someone or makes them feel seen or connected to something, then I think that's a job well done in my book. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think that your tour will wrap in 2025. If you have had a moment to think about what you are most looking forward to doing after that, do you have a list in mind?
Man, I'm so excited to just rot on the couch and just watch TV all day and eat so much food. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
I'm sure when you're on tour, like, are there shows in the back of your mind that you are waiting to watch or movies?
Oh my God, yeah, I watch Sex and the City every day on tour. That was my routine. I probably watched the whole thing like twice on tour. It was amazing.
It's easy now that it's on Netflix too.
Yeah.
Right up there with the concert special. Well, thank you for your time tonight. Before you go, we do have something very special to present to you. So we're going to bring up a very special guest with a very special something.
Is this on? Okay. Olivia, before you go, and get ready to take your Guts tour to its 5th continent, we wanted to recognize the enormous impact that you've had this year on the touring business in so many inspiring ways. You've already grossed $167 million, according to Billboard Box Score, and you've managed to do it while keeping your ticket prices affordable for fans. You've rocketed from theaters to arenas. You're inspiring inclusion and diversity by fronting this rock band of women and trans and non-binary people. And you've used your stage to build an equitable future for women and girls through your Fund for Good. So on behalf of Billboard and on behalf of my 2 daughters, who will probably never forgive me for not bringing them here tonight, please accept this award for our Touring Artist of the Year, and we hope many artists will follow in your footsteps.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. Nice to see you. Have a good night.
Congratulations.